You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Please give us a like, share, subscribe to the YouTube account. We are on www.dadswholiftofficial.com. All the podcast links are in there. We also have an apparel line that's taking pre-orders right now. We're on IG as Dads Who Lift Official handle. We're on Facebook, Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Dads Who Lift fitness group on Facebook that's Dads Who Lift Official. A group of 30,000 like-minded dads that are just trying to be their best selves and staying fit. If that's something you're into, please check it out. But we do this stuff for free, guys, so please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We really appreciate your support. You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. You have your host, Tyler Gaeta.
Co-host, Joel Staley.
So we were just talking pre-podcast about Joel's demon sitting on his chest last night.
Yeah.
A little bit of sleep apnea.
Yeah, so I woke up for like an hour last night after this shit happened. I woke up or didn't wake up. I'm not entirely sure, but if it was a dream, I woke up and I like tried to get up to go pee or whatever, and I couldn't like move my head. It was moving like a quarter of a centimeter is all. I'm like, what the hell? So then I go to move my arm, legs, nothing's working. And I kind of look up and there's this like, it's of course pitch black in the room, but there's like this man, like solid man holding down all my limbs and ligaments. And I'm like actively just trying to fight against him and get up. And it probably went on. I mean, that's the thing. If it was a dream, it seemed like it was like 3 minutes, but if it was real, I don't know. But finally, I could get up and no one was there. Nothing was there. And I was like, okay, well, I'm up now. Like, was that a dream? Was it not? It was just weird. So you can imagine it was pretty hard to go back to bed. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, fuck that. What's it called, though? You were saying there's actually like a tale.
Yeah, there's a couple rumors. I was in the middle of looking it up. But the one I've heard about before is called The Witch, the Ghost, and the Demon. And I'd have to, this is pretty long, but it's pretty common. So Laurel, who does our editing and shoots the podcast with us, I brought this up and Chad and you were like...
Is your mic on, Laurel? Or you can turn it on.
Yep.
Yeah, tell us about your deal, too.
Yeah, so when I go to bed, I have to make sure I have like my doors and everything closed a certain way. Otherwise, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I can't move, but in the corner, like where my door is, there will be like a tall, lanky man, and I can never like see his face or anything, but he just stands there. Same thing with the old apartment I used to live at. I would see like people walking in my hallway. So
that's my guy was lanky. I would have thrown him, but this guy was jacked.
But he's never sitting on your chest or holding you down, though.
No.
Man, that's crazy. But there's what's that supposed to be called? You guys were talking about it.
I just call it sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
So even first thing I pull up is WebMD, and it says sleep paralysis, demon in the bedroom. So I'll look this up and see exactly what it says. But yeah, man, it was pretty nerve-wracking. It was tough to get back to bed afterwards.
So maybe I'm wrong, but I think that everybody goes through sleep paralysis when they're actually sleeping. Like there's a stage of sleep every night that every single person, your body releases chemicals to where your body, you can't move, basically paralyzes your body to get into like your deepest sleep or whatever it may be. I don't know. I'm not a sleep fucking scholar, but I'm pretty sure that happens. So I know there's people that I've heard of people like, I'm pretty sure that's what sleep apnea is you wake up during that time, where usually people don't wake up during that time. Like it happens for everybody every night, but you don't wake up and you never know it. So you're waking up during that time and you're seeing crazy shit moving in like big black figures in the corner of your room. And you can't fucking move for like 2 to 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's sketchy as fuck.
Yeah.
But you're never like, you know, you're awake. You're never like, oh shit, was it a dream?
Yeah. Well, I've had it like since I was little too, so I'm like kind of used to it at this point. Kind of like messed up.
Here we go.
Yep. Here we go again. But yeah, and I just can't move, so half the time I just kind of lay there. And
that's like, crazy, man. See, I got dogs I sleep with. And we were talking about it pre-podcast, like, I sage my fucking house, though. I don't fuck around with no demon spirits. Like,
do you really?
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll sage the shit out of my house. It's been a while since I've done it, and I've actually, like, felt some negative energy lately. I don't know if it's just me being, like, tired or whatnot, because my body's been really run down. Like, but I've definitely felt some, like, negative energy, so I need to sage that motherfucker again, for sure.
Well, our previous homeowners, the guy died in the house.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so we looked it up. They lived there for a long ass time, and then
That's why you got such a good deal, huh?
one of our neighbors said something. I can't remember what she said. She said the husband passed away. And so then we looked up the obituary and it said, yeah, he died in our house, cancer, surrounded by loved ones. So I don't know.
Well, at
if
least
it
he
was-
didn't like.
Yeah, it wasn't
hang
like murder,
himself or
suicide,
something.
or anything like that. But
But it's still sketchy.
you don't know if he had some unfinished business or anything.
I'd sage
but
the fucking house, bro. The way I see it is like the stuff doesn't smell bad anyways. So what's the worst that could happen? Like if it doesn't do anything, then oh well, I just
piss 'em
saged my
off.
house for nothing. No, it's supposed to be good. You're supposed to like get rid of bad spirits. Actually, last time I did it, I went all out. I actually like, yeah. So they say like that you're supposed to salt your doors. Salting the doors will keep the spirits out. So you're supposed to put like salt in all your doorways, like the bottom of the doorways, except for one, and then leave that door open while you're saging, and that allows the spirits to get out that one door. And then when you're done saging, you salt that last door shut. I did it, man. Whatever. You can laugh or
dude,
say
I
whatever.
didn't
I was
know.
like, all right, fuck it. I want good spirits. I want good stuff. And I remember like, I mean, the house smelled good. Sage is actually like a fucking antibacterial too.
how'd you come across all this stuff? You moved in, you were like, all right,
No, I actually didn't do it for years after I moved in. I never did it in my old house. I don't know, just the more spiritual I got, like,
you felt like there was a negative energy going on in your house, or
I never even really felt like there was a negative energy, but I just felt like it couldn't hurt. You know, like why not? You know?
all these bugs come eating all the salt.
Yeah. No, why not? You know?
bugs by your
And so
doors.
like there's a spiritual store in town. I can't remember what it's called, but I would like go there and get like energy rocks and stuff, crystals, just kind of pick me up stuff. I believe in that shit too. And so I saw sage and I'd always see sage there and I'm like, eh. And I had a friend that was into all that stuff, Kelly Healy, and she was like, "Oh yeah," she's the one that told me about it. She's like, "Yeah, I sage my house all the time." It's apparently it's not even like energy can get trapped in your house, like bad energy. So like it's not even really like 100%. I guess would have to be like ghosts or bad spirits. But like you could even have like an event or a party, and someone's badass negative energy gets trapped in your room or your house or whatever, and it's just supposed to get rid of negative energy. I don't know. I don't really know if it works or not. I just know that like what can it hurt? But I do know that sage is a natural antibacterial. Like it actually kills all the bacteria in your room and in your house and in the air. So like if that tells you anything, it's got to be getting rid of something. That's kind of the way I see it.
I just
I don't
need
know,
some
so-
Tylenol PM to sleep through this shit.
I don't know if I start feeling like heavy or like a bad mood every time I step into my house or whatever. My house I want to be like my place of like happiness, rest, peace, joy, whatever. And if I start feeling the other way when I walk into my house, then it's probably time to sage and like, what could it hurt? So I need to sage my shit here.
Damn, maybe I'll sage up.
I would. I've actually got some extra sage. I could give you one.
Bring it on.
But yeah, I mean, I just I just light the shit, walk around, put it in a bowl, like walk around the house and just kind of put the bowl around. I always say like,
I've saged my garage in that case in quite a bit.
yeah.
Light the bowl up, walk around.
I don't think weed counts. That's not sage. But I don't know, man. That's scary as fuck. Like I keep guns next to my bed. I keep dogs in. Like one of my dogs usually. Actually, I've been sleeping without both my dogs.
My
They
gun's
usually-
by my bed too.
They've usually been sleeping in my son's room, but usually I'll have one of the dogs sleep with me, one of the dogs sleep with my son. Last night, my son actually slept with me, and so both the dogs were in my room. And I was saying, my fucking boxer Rebel, anytime both the dogs sleep with me or in my room, my son sleeps with me, he always crawls up underneath my bed and sleeps underneath my bed. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on, you weirdo? That's kind of weird. I don't know. But I will say, like, so I drink a shitload of water. And so I get up like probably like 4 or 5 times a night to piss, you know? And I'll be walking to the bathroom, and I definitely have, like, I keep all my closet doors open and all the doors in my room open. And I've definitely had the deal, like, I don't turn lights on when I go to pee. I guess I turn the toilet light on, but not like walking in and walking out. But there's a closet to my right when I walk out of the pisser, and I've definitely like caught my eye and been like, thought I saw something at night a few times in my closet. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I almost feel like it was a dream. Otherwise, I would have probably been calling out like,
But
Which
if you're
I
in sleep
didn't.
paralysis, you can't talk either, can you? Or yeah, I don't think you can talk either, can you?
I don't think I've ever really tried talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think you could. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I don't think you can move your mouth either.
Man, I don't know. She was weird though.
I mean, if I had a demon on my chest last night, I'd be telling myself it was a dream too, bro. So,
yeah, very true.
I mean,
very true.
whatever you got to tell yourself to
Probably just a
be
dream.
all right.
Unless he left his shit on there.
Did he take a dump on your chest? No.
And you still convinced yourself it was a dream.
Yeah.
I must have been the dog.
Yeah, the dog must have got up here and
Demon-sized
shit on me.
you.
I don't know, man. It's crazy shit.
Weird
Crazy
way
shit.
to start the day though, because then I woke up this morning. So, like I said, it took me at least an hour to go back to bed. I was tossing and turning because either way, I actually woke up after like I was able to break free. And I was like, fuck, do I want to go back to bed? It was 2:15. And I was like, well, I was waking up at 3:15 for a while and it was all right. Maybe I could go to the gym. I could go to the office, get some stuff done. I was
That's like definitely one of those, like, well, I'm going to turn the TV on, sleep with the TV on the rest of the night.
I was like, I didn't go to bed till past 10 o'clock. I was watching that Cobra Kai on Netflix all
Dude,
night.
Cobra Kai is my shit.
We finished it last
I feel like
night.
I think you got to be old to like that
It's
show because like you
awesome.
got to know all the old Karate Kids. Because I mean, my son likes the show too, but he never saw the original Daniel son, Mr. Miyagi.
Definitely makes it better if you
and
know.
so
everything.
he's like the whole time he's like, who's Mr. Miyagi? He's like, is that the guy with the dreads from Karate Kid? I'm like, no, that's an old karate, or that's the guy that went to China. You know, Will Smith's kid. I'm like, no, that's a later Karate Kid. That's not this Karate Kid. No, not
Dude,
the same
it's
Karate Kid.
awesome. So it was like 3 or 4 nights ago. We watched Bubble Guppies, man. Bubble Guppies and Sesame Street on repeat. We wake up, put it on while we make her breakfast, like hang out for a little bit. She goes off to school. When she comes home, it's Bubble Guppies. The same couple seasons. Same with Sesame Street. We've seen all of them over and over and over again, even though there's like hundreds of them. So the other night, it was like 5 o'clock, and I was like, all right, guys, we need to change of pace here. Dad's going to blow his head off. So I put on Netflix, and it said number 1 today is Cobra Kai. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yep.
I saw this was going to come out over a year ago, and I didn't realize it was the second season. I completely missed the first season. So I was like, we're going to watch this. And, of course, Amy's like, no, we don't want to watch your crap. And I was like, trust me, this is going to be a family-friendly, awesome show. And I think she likes it as much as we do. We plowed through the 2 seasons in 3 or 4 days. It's good.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good show. All right, we're gonna get into a topic.
Yep, let's do it.
So we actually had a guest scheduled to come on for this podcast this morning. That something happened, he couldn't make it. So we've been wanting to get into and talk about. I guess first of all, guys, let me do the housekeeping. We do this stuff for free. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We need your support to continue doing this. Please subscribe to the YouTube account. We're on YouTube, SoundClouds, iTunes, all the things, all the formats, and they're all on www.dadswholiftofficial.com. All the formats to the podcast are on there. Please like, share, subscribe. So we've been talking about getting into another COVID podcast, and honestly, I think we're going to start talking a little bit more about current events and about things that are happening around the world, and kind of get into some of this crazy shit that's going on, and weigh in and give our opinions. We haven't much, you know. We've really tried to keep things positive, and we've really tried to keep things informative on how to be your best self and your best father and fitness and stuff like that. And we're still definitely going to keep that that route. We're still going to stay positive, even if we get into this crazy shit. We're still going to end it on a loving, positive note. But I also feel like, you know, there's a lot of shit going on in this world right now that we've been kind of pussyfooting around, I feel like, and not telling our views just because we don't want to piss people off. And fuck that. We're going to tell our views. So
that's the easy route to take. And that's
Yeah.
what 90% of people are doing right now is they have an opinion, and it's hard whether it's coronavirus or the protests / riots, or it's Black Lives Matter, the domestic terrorists, not the like Black Lives actually matter, just the saying. It's hard to give an opinion because half the people around you are going to agree with you, but they're not going to speak up. And the other half are going to try to burn your house down.
And no matter what you say on either side, you're going to piss somebody off.
Yeah, big time.
That's the hard part. And, the word racism gets thrown around so much now. I mean, us just being white guys running a podcast, I can say even just right there, not to throw color into it,
white
but
male
just
privilege.
with things going on right now, it's very easy for people to get pissed off with anything that we say.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, exactly.
The list goes on and on.
So, but fuck it. We're going to give our opinions on things. And I also feel like that's what the world needs. The world doesn't need people to stay quiet during these times. The world needs people to speak up and tell their opinions. And if you like it, great. If you don't, sorry, fuck you. I don't know what else to say. But so on this first one, we're going to hop into what's going on with the coronavirus. And this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. We actually were planning to do it a couple weeks ago, another podcast on the coronavirus. And I just didn't want to keep talking on a fucking topic that I feel like is just like, it's always just coronavirus. It's like this, I just don't want to be spewing negativity anywhere, but I'm definitely to this point to where I feel like this pandemic and what it's doing to our society, culture, people, businesses, for what we're trying to stop is bullshit. And I feel like it needs to be spoken about. It's like I'm not saying that people haven't died, because people have died. And I'm not trying to be insensitive to the deaths that have happened. But there was another another study that came out by the CDC a few days back that basically said that only 6% of all these coronavirus deaths were 100% from COVID. And so that comes down to like 9,000 something actual COVID deaths, just under 10,000 deaths.
And of them, it was like 97% over the age of 70, of the other extra percent pre-existing conditions already, and like 6 people that are like, oh wow, this was a younger, healthier person. And
so I've seen both sides to it. I've seen people say, okay, so there was only 9,000 coronavirus deaths. That's all there's been. I've also seen people say, well, you're taking that out of context. That's stupid. It's not saying that there was only 9,000 coronavirus deaths. It's saying there was 9,000 deaths solely only from coronavirus. The other deaths already had pre-existing conditions that the coronavirus still helped kill them. You know what I mean? So it's not like, and I see both sides. It's not like there was only 9,000 deaths. Maybe coronavirus on some of these other deaths helped push them over the edge and help kill them, but they were probably going to die anyways. You know what I mean? And so, honestly, the way I see it is like, we're never going to fucking know. The CDC can come out and say whatever the fuck they want. We're never going to actually know how many deaths were really truly from coronavirus, because they were able to label coronavirus deaths and cases without even being tested for coronavirus.
And why would they do that? Because that's what people ask. They're like, why would hospitals say people are dying from coronavirus when it was actually like he got hit by a bus, but he had coronavirus?
I mean, obviously they were trying to push an addendum. I mean, so my whole thing, this is my take on it, right?
It's funding, basically, is what it is. They get
the
way
more
funding
more money
for when you say
but
this
why
person
are they getting
died.
more funding?
Exactly.
The way that I see this whole coronavirus deal is, I don't think that it started off, and maybe it did. Who the fuck knows? We're never going to know. But I don't think that it started off in a malicious fashion. I think that this thing happened. Maybe somebody did set it off and it was malicious in that way. But as far as like how we first reacted as a country, I don't think we were out of purpose or out of means or that we did anything wrong. I mean, we're seeing all these deaths. We're seeing all these bodies stacked up in the street in Wuhan, China. Then we're seeing all these deaths in Italy, and oh shit, the stuff's in the U.S. and it's heading our way. Absolutely. When it looked like that, do whatever the fuck you need to do to protect yourself. Shut the economy down, tell people to social distance or lockdown or whatever. I get it when you have the threat of millions of people dying. And in the beginning, we didn't know that it was just old people. In the beginning, it was like, oh shit, anybody could get this and anybody could die. I was fucking scared of this in the beginning.
I remember you'd come bring your sanitizer in.
Yeah, dude. And I mean,
Lysol.
I'm still hand sanitizing just because I don't want to get sick.
I meant the Lysol. That's what I meant.
Yeah. And so when this shit first happened, right, before it was already in the U.S., but before it was like said that it was in the U.S., I remember my office manager told me about it. I hadn't even heard about it. And it was in China. And this is right when all these people started dying in China and shit was getting crazy in China. And I'm a prepper, man. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be ready. And she's like, oh, it's never going to come here. And I was like, bullshit. If it's in China, it'll be here. Guaranteed. Every fucking thing in the US is from China. Like, we're not just going to get the goods. We're going to get the fucking viruses too. Like, everything from China is in the US. And so I went out and bought masks. I bought hand sanitizer, Lysol. Like, I bought totes. I got fucking totes full of food and water and all the shit. I got real masks, like N95 masks. I got probably like 15, 20 of them sitting at home. I've opened one box. And so in the beginning, when it was first starting to come into the US, nobody knew what the fuck's going on. Everybody's scared. We're like pre-lockdown. I wore a mask. I even put like a selfie up on my story of a mask, an N95 mask going into the supermarket.
Better safe than sorry.
Right. I mean, this is when I thought this is going to fucking kill us. Like, it's going to kill everybody. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. When I went to the gym, I still went to the gym, but I brought my own Lysol and hand sanitizer to the gym. I sprayed down the fucking gym equipment before I used it. I hand sanitized my hands. Today, I'm not walking around with Lysol, but I still have hand sanitizer in my truck. I'm still staying clean and hand sanitizing my hands just because I don't want to get sick. Like,
and you went to the cleanest gym in town. Shout out Iron Heaven.
That's right. We did. I did. Both of us did.
Yeah.
Point being, in the beginning, it was what it was. We didn't know what we were dealing with. We took precautionary measures to stay safe. When we're dealing with lives, I'm always cool with erring on the side of caution. My problem or question now is we're fucking months into this. We now know that this is not a big fucking deal to the majority of the people. I'm not saying that people can't die from this. If you have pre-existing conditions, you're old, you're overweight, obviously maybe you need to quarantine to your house. Maybe you shouldn't be going out.
If you're worried about it.
If you're worried about it. But the majority of the people are not going to fucking die from this. I'm pretty sure I've already had it. I know multiple people that have had it that are completely fine. I know people that have had it that were out partying right after, they got a negative test and never even had any symptoms. I know a 68-year-old guy that I went and did a landscape bid for last week that's a fucking smoker, smokes like 2 packs a day, and has been a smoker since he's 14 years old. He got it, and the only symptoms he had was loss of taste and smell.
The problem is, if you're going to get it, you're going to get it. If we're doing what we're doing right now, all you're doing is flattening the curve, but also making the curve way longer and not
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal,
bro, and this is the problem. We're past flattening the curve. This is where there's other things going on here. People have other agendas because this is no longer about coronavirus and safety. Flattening the curve was supposed to be 15 days. That's what they said. Oh, we're only going to be locked down and shut down for a few weeks. Then it turned into a month. Now we're months into it and there isn't an answer. Like, where's the fucking answer? Where's anybody saying like, all right, guys, another month and we'll be done. Another week and we'll be done. There's no answer in sight. And so it's like, what's the end? What's the end plan? What is the end plan here, guys? What are we doing? Are we just going to wear masks for the rest of our lives until there's a vaccine? Once there is a vaccine, if that's a year or two from now, are they going to rush a vaccine that's not even tested and make people take it just so that they can have a vaccine early next spring that's not even fucking tested and we don't even know that it's safe or what it's going to do to us long term, right? Or are we going to take 2 years to get an actual safe vaccine that's supposedly safe? And what about the people that don't want to take vaccines in the first place?
Here's my question. So we take a flu shot every year, right? I don't, but...
Right.
And still, people get the flu every single year. So even if we do get the vaccine or the COVID-19 shot you got to take every year, which, newsbreaker, people are making money off that. Mm-hmm. So there's part of an agenda right there.
Yep.
You're still going to get it.
Right.
It's not like you just don't get it anymore. So yeah,
the problem is that there's a bunch of different strains. So it's going to just be like, that's the same thing with the flu. There's so many different strains of the flu. Every year they try to pick the most predominant strains, and that's what they make the flu shot for. But they don't.
So there's no end in sight, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's my whole point is like, what is the game plan? What are we doing? Where are we heading?
When's enough? When are you going to finally say, all right, I wore masks. I said I was going to do it for 15 days. I said I was going to do it for 3 months. At what point do you draw the line in the sand and say, all right, I'm not doing it this time next year. I'm not doing it 5 years from now. I'm not going to have my daughter be in school 10 years from now wearing a mask, being behind a plexiglass thing with her teacher there in a hazmat suit like she's some lab monkey. Like, that's not for what? The flu. It's the fucking flu.
I don't know how people don't see this, but the whole point, like, this is, our freedoms are diminished right now. We do not have the freedom that we used to have. And that's what scares me, is that we're slowly and slowly, this hasn't happened overnight. It's been slowly, then back, then now places are locking down again. They give you a little freedom back, then lock down again. We're told you can't open your business. We're told you can't, leave your house when you're in a lockdown. We're told you have to wear a mask if you go into a grocery store. Those are all rights that we have that are being taken away from us. And how can a government ever tell anybody not to open their fucking business?
You don't get those rights back, by the way, either.
That's what I'm saying, is that these things are getting taken away and they're already gone. Like, and how do people not see this and not uproar and stop it? And that how can the government tell you not to open your fucking business? Like Ian, what's that guy's name? God, I'm gonna have to pull it up. Andy Frisella talks about it on Real as Fuck, one of his buddies with his gym. But he's been shut down. He's in a different state than us. We're lucky enough here to where our gyms can still be open.
In the Northeast, I believe.
I can't remember, but he's been shut down multiple times, and he won't shut down. And they keep telling him, you cannot open your business. You cannot open your business. And they've slapped him with, I think the last fine they gave him was like $145,000 fine and $15,000 a day. And this is not a big fucking gym. This dude's making millions of dollars. This is like a normal sized gym, nice, clean gym. And the guy's like, how can you tell me to shut down my business? How can you tell anybody to shut down their business? Like, that is their business. That's their livelihood. Unless you're going to...
For 4 or 5, how long has it been now? 6 months?
Listen, man, you can't... I don't give a fuck what stimulus you're going to do, what paycheck protection program you're going to do. There's a lot of businesses that by shutting them down, they will never reopen again. And that's just the fact. And it's not fucking big corporations. It's not Walmart. It's not Amazon. It's not all these big motherfuckers that are losing business and shutting down. Amazon's up. Walmart's up. All these big motherfuckers are up. It's the small shops. It's the heart of the fucking U.S. that's shutting down and will never open again, a lot of them. And how do you tell somebody when it's their blood, sweat, and tears and their money that they put into this company? They might have $500,000 into this small business getting it started. Oh, well, I'll give you $100,000 in paycheck protection. Fuck you. You're going to give me $100,000 in paycheck protection. Once my business is gone, it's gone. There's no coming back from my business. So unless you're going to pay me and buy my company, go get fucked. That's what I say. And you can't even pay them, and that's still taking away your freedom. A government can't come in and say, oh, well, you can't run your business, so I'll pay you and buy it from you. It's not how it works. This shit's just so fucked up, man. It's crazy.
But if you say something, then you're saying, oh, okay, so the people who do have pre-existing conditions and older people, they don't matter. It's like, no, that's not
they
what
need to stay the fuck home.
Yeah.
They can stay the fuck home. If you're worried about it, stay the fuck home. If you want to be out, like, this is like the fucking make fucking waivers. I don't give a fuck. Everybody signs a waiver that wants to be out. Hey, I'm signing a waiver saying that I'm taking the risk of fucking dying by living my life. And that's on me, not anybody else. I'll sign it. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. If you're too worried about it and you want to stay inside or you want to quarantine yourself, then do that. Suicide rates are up. Suicide deaths are up. Businesses are shut down. Homeless population. Alcohol abuse is up. Drug abuse is up. Our global economy is fucking in the shitter. I mean, look at all these riots and stuff too, which are that's a whole different thing and a whole nother podcast.
I was going to say that's going to need its own podcast. That's a whole nother thing. Right,
but I mean, those are funneled by race. But do you think that if all this crazy COVID shit wasn't going on and never started, and people weren't so distressed as to where they are now in life, that all this stuff would still be going on the way that it is?
And if they weren't all wearing fucking masks, so when they shoot someone, no one can pick them out of a lineup because they have a goddamn mask on over their face.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just completely nuts.
I don't know, man. I just see craziness going on in this world, and I just want to know, I don't see it coming back. And so that's my question to everybody is, if you're all right with this and you're all right with the mask and you sit there and say, well, it's inconvenient. It's not an inconvenience to me if I'm going to save somebody's life. Okay, that's fine. What about all the business? What about the economy? What about having things shut down? What about all the lives that's ruining? You know what I mean?
I was
What
telling
about
you
the
this
flip
on the
side?
phone last night. Anytime I never wore a mask into like daycare because it's a disease riddled little infest place anyway. But once they put the mandates here in Omaha, you don't really have a choice. I'm not going to be the guy that like embarrass my daughter and go start spewing my free speech.
Right.
God forbid in America. But so every time I take her out of the car, I got to put my stupid little mask on, and I just look at her in the eye. She's like, she kind of looks at me like, "Why are you wearing that on your face?" And if I felt good about it, it'd be like,
does she have to
just
have
keep
one on when she walks in?
or she wouldn't
No.
be going
Okay.
there. No. But yeah, every time I put it on, I look at her, I just kind of give her like I know it's fucking stupid, but like, what do you do? And I just feel defeated every time I do it. No, if she has to wear a mask or some shit like that in school, I'll find another school, homeschooler, get a teacher. That shit's not going to fly. I think there's direct like problems with super young kids wearing masks all day.
And this is what when we were talking about doing this podcast yesterday, Joel and I, this is what I brought up too. Like, my son's in school right now. I'm happy that my son's school is moving forward with school, because a lot of schools have just chose to do online, not even trying to fuck with it. My school said, no, we're going to have school. These kids need to learn. They need to be around other kids. And I love that. I mean, my son's in 4th grade. He's been around this school since 1st grade. He's with all of his friends. He's already in there. We're already rooted. But they have to wear masks, and they have to wear masks all day. Now, it's funny to me because you can pretty much wear whatever the fuck you want to wear as a mask. I mean, he wears, I've talked about it before, but he pretty much wears like those SA company, face masks, like pretty much a fucking handkerchief, this thin cotton that he can breathe right through. It's not like he has an N95 mask on or a respirator mask or whatever. But even with that being said, and I never even thought about this until yesterday, but what adults I think fail to realize with all this shit going on is adults can wear their masks for a little period of a time during a day and then take it off.
Unless you're in the service industry, they got to wear that shit all day too. I'm like, can you imagine? It already sucked to be like a waiter or waitress or working in a coffee shop. Now you got to smell your own breath all day.
Right.
Your own coffee
I
breath.
suppose, but there's a lot of people that like, all the people I've seen in office buildings, they'll wear the mask into the office building, and then when they're sitting at the desk, they take them off.
Yeah.
Yesterday I went into a meeting for a snow bid for this big corporation. And I walk in, and there's posted all over all the doors, must have mask to enter, must have mask to enter. I walk into the office and wore a mask, and nobody in the office has masks on. And I was like, do I need to wear this, or that's up to you. You don't have to. I'm like, okay. So I take it off, and then I get in this meeting in this room, and we're all 6 feet apart. But they're like, nobody's wearing a mask. And they're like, oh no, you don't have to wear a mask as long as we're 6 feet apart. Who the fuck made up this 6 feet apart rule? Like, what is the 6 feet apart?
Socialism distancing is what I've heard.
How is that supposed to protect you? I don't understand. We're in a room all sharing the same air.
Worse yet, when you go into a restaurant and they say, all right, you got to wear your mask until you go sit down at the table surrounded by everyone else, and you can take it off.
Yep, exactly.
It's like, I'm not saying the answer is to take it off, take a bite, put it right back up and chew. That's even worse. But like, it's a 5-foot walk from here to my table. There's no one around me. Who's coming up with these fucking rules?
Here's my deal with masks, right? Is that they don't fucking work. When everybody is allowed to wear whatever mask they want. I mean, you can literally wear a fucking netted mask, face mask with holes in it.
Everyone's nose is out anyway.
Yeah, with holes in it, and that's accepted. It's a face mask. You know what I mean? Like, all they say is that you have to wear a mask. They don't say what type, they don't say what kind, and they don't work when they're just masks like that, or your nose is out, or it's a surgical grade mask like I've talked about before when our buddy was wearing one. They don't fucking work. Like, the only way that a mask is going to work is if you wear an N95 mask, and with that, the only way that's going to work is if you never touch your face or the mask. Like, every time you touch your face or the mask or your eye or your nose or anything on your body from your hands, you need to hand sanitize before you touch your motherfucking face.
And even those, I think you're supposed to get fitted for if you're like trying to be
probably
real, like, safe.
I don't know, but they don't work, man. And it is funny. I went to Colorado, and I love Colorado. I've been going to Colorado since I was like 3 years old, man. Multiple times a year. Colorado's like my jam. I love to move there. I love everything about Colorado. I love the mountains. I love the people. I love everything. But they are crazy about the masks in Colorado. I mean, insane. I did a trip there with my son. Honestly, like made me not even want to be there because I had to wear a mask every single time I did anything, said anything, was anywhere. I mean, yeah, we went to eat dinner and we had to wear it into the restaurant. Couldn't even wait. Like there's a waiting limit in the restaurant. You can't even wait in the lobby. You got to go outside and wait in your car. Like, and then, so then we had to wait. Then they text you, which is fine. Then you come in, have to have a mask on. But yeah, as soon as you get to your table, no more masks. Just, it's a miracle that as soon as you sit down at your table, you can no longer transmit a disease. It's like, what's the point? So my whole thing with the mask and my whole thing with this whole fucking COVID deal is this. If this was truly about safety, right? If this was truly about safety, then everybody will be required to wear an N95 mask. If this was truly about safety and our government truly wanted people to be safe from the coronavirus, every single person should be given an N95 mask or two from the government, right? Or at least have them readily available so that you can buy them.
Or the stats would make any fucking sense. Like, I'm not trying to wear an M95 mask when, like, literally you look at the stats and no one's dying.
Here's the deal, though. What I'm getting at is if it's not, if the masks that they're mandating you to wear are ineffective, then this is no longer about safety. It's about control. And that's all that it is. This whole thing, to me, is about control. And what is the underlying deal? Who the fuck knows? There's all kinds of conspiracy theorists. Is this going on because the Democrats and the left and George Soros want Trump not to get reelected, so they want to fuck up the economy? That's one of the things people are saying. I don't know. I don't know, and we'll probably never know. Is this going on because the pedophilia ring and the fucking God forbid we talk about Save the Children? The pedophilia ring. In politics and in the celebrity community is coming down and they want to take our attention off of that. That's another theory. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that we have a disease that is less deadly or as deadly as the flu. It's basically just like another flu or less. And yet we're treating this completely different. And again, like I said in the beginning, I get it because we were pre-faxed. We didn't know what was going on. So I get it. But at this time right now, why are we still shut down? What's the end game? Where are we headed? And why the fuck are we doing it? Why not open back up? All the people that are, I don't like Biden. I mean, I guess we're going to get into shit. We'll talk about everything. I don't like Biden, but I also don't like Trump. I probably side more on the Republican side as far as what the Republicans stand for. But I think Trump's a dipshit. I think Biden's a dipshit. I'd never vote for Biden. And the people that are sitting here saying, this is a question I have for everybody. The people that are sitting here saying, well, the Democrats are doing this and the left and George Soros and all this shit is going on so that they can get Trump out of office. Then why the fuck isn't Trump speaking up about that and saying, hey, these fuckers are trying to get me out of office. This is all bullshit. We're open federally. Like, why aren't we open federally then? Hey, coronavirus is complete bullshit. Federally, we're open, and the governors can do whatever they want with it. And if you don't like their response to your state, then vote them out.
I don't know if he has that power or not. I mean, I'm not like the world's biggest Trump supporter either, but it's ridiculous that like the other day I tell my family, like, they're like, what else is going on? I was like, well, I'm actually kind of getting interested in politics a little bit. And then just not like, hey, I have this strong point of view. You got to listen to me. Just that's basically it. And my mom's like, oh, you're not a Trumper, are you? Like, you're either a Trumper and like that wants liberty and wants freedom, or you're the enemy. Or you are the enemy, I guess, if you're a Trumper. So the other, it's either no one's voting for Biden. That's it. It's like they're voting against Trump. And that's just doesn't make sense, man. All I would say is the only reason I am taking an interest in it, I was always told by my parents that we were Democrats. I was like, okay, we're Democrats. Like, I'm a kid. I don't know what the fuck it means. If you say we're Democrats, we're Democrats. And I think a lot of people do. I don't think a lot of people do their own research. They find out what policies each side has, what each one's about, any of this stuff. So I was like, just one day I heard a couple things and it said they were Republican, and then they started talking about Democrat values. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That doesn't sound like what I'm about. So I've started doing research, and I got to say, the more I look into it, I'm like, whoa, I don't want to be associated with these fucking weirdos.
Right.
So I'm not going to come off and like start spouting stats or anything, but all I will say is do your research. That's what I'm doing. Educate yourself. When in doubt about anything in life, that should be your first answer. Not, okay, well, I hang out with all these people and they say they're this, so I guess that makes me that too, without even looking into it. It's stupid.
Yeah, I see myself as an independent because I can see both sides. Honestly, I mean, I mainly just side for. It sounds stupid, but I mainly just side for peace and love, man. I mean, I want peace and love, but there's some things on the right side that I can agree with and say, okay, yeah, I'd rather have that. And there's some things on the left side I can agree with and say, all right, yeah, I can associate with that.
I don't know if you're going to have that luxury for very long, though.
Yeah,
because the division's just getting so big. People are going to say you got to pick a side, and that's. I'm not saying that, but I'm telling you, there used to be this gray area. Oh, I like guns. I like pro-life. I want people to be free. I want everyone to be happy. That's not. It's disappearing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's getting to the point that it's very divisive. And if you find yourself in the middle, I almost feel like you're going to be getting shit from everyone. Personal opinions. That's why I've started kind of doing this research. Like, okay, well, when I am asked about this, like, what are my actual thoughts? Not what have I been spoon-fed all my life type deal.
Yeah, man, and it's you do have to form your own opinion, and a lot of times it's hard to know where you stand on this stuff because there is so much gray area. You know, it's like it's tough. I mean, it really is. It's hard to even know. Like, even me personally, there's a lot of things, since I can see both sides and I'm empathetic for both sides of what's going on. It's hard for me to find a place, you know, but I also think that there comes power with that I can see both sides.
And that's a good point too, is don't just educate yourself on the side that you think you are. Look at both sides, because otherwise, yeah, I could have just looked at a bunch of media propaganda from the left and reinforced opinions and then just counted out the right. But look at both and say, okay, well, I see what they're saying. Do I see what they're saying? Okay, I see what they're saying. Where do I fall in between these? Don't just look at one and then like say, oh, that's what I am. What they're saying makes sense, so that must be it. Like, look at both sides.
Again, we're not trying to say that there hasn't been deaths or try to be insensitive to people that have died. All that we're saying is that I see the effects. Coronavirus is less than what we had thought it was, and it's all the facts are coming out. It's very clear. I know a lot of people that have had it that haven't died. The effects that the coronavirus is having on people, on society, on our way of life, on our freedoms, to me, the juice is not worth the squeeze. We need to open back up, and that's all that I'm saying. If you have underlying issues, if you're overweight, if you're elderly, if you're worried about it, if you're scared, quarantine yourself. I don't need to quarantine myself. I don't need to wear a mask. My son doesn't need to wear a mask. We're going to go about our days and live our lives. I want my fucking freedom back. I want my fucking way of life back. I want all businesses open. I don't want anybody telling me or anybody else how to fucking run my life, live my life, or run my business. I think it's complete bullshit. If it was a different disease, if we get another one down the road that's fucking genetically engineered and made, like this one probably was, but it's worse, that actually kills everybody, then yeah, like maybe we'll have to look at things differently. There's crazy shit that happens in the world. I get it. But where we're at right now and what this is right now, I'm not scared of it. I want to live my life. And I think that's what the majority of the people feel, think, and are saying right now. They might not be saying it because they're too scared to say it. But I think that's what the majority of people, everybody that I fucking talk to says the same fucking thing. Anybody that I talk to personally says the same fucking thing. I've heard a couple people say, oh, well, yeah, but my mom is elderly and, you know, she would have to watch out for it. It's like, no, I totally get that. That's cool. Keep your fucking mom in the house. You know, you can take stuff to her or however she wants to live her life. That's up to her. I've got an elderly grandma. She's not sick, but I've talked to her about it. And my grandpa's passed and she's the only one left and she is definitely elderly. And she's even said, like, I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be clean, but whatever years left I have on this earth, I don't want to spend them quarantined in my fucking house by myself. I'm going to live my life.
That's a great point right there.
I'd rather, if I got 5 years left and that's it, grandpa passed away already last year, I'm going to spend these last 5 years enjoying them, and I want to be around my family. And what another thing that nobody's fucking talking about, especially with this social distancing shit too, is like, dude, we're made for love and compassion. We are made to be around people. Like, we are made for connection, physical connection, spiritual connection, emotional connection. Like, there's a reason that we walk up and shake hands with people. It's not just a respect thing. You're fucking transmitting energy. Anytime you touch somebody and anytime you're around somebody, all we are is energy, and everybody's transmitting energy. When we're cutting that shit off, we're cutting off our connection.
Have you heard about they did the study on those, I think it was 12 babies, where they didn't give them any, I think there was 12 babies. They gave 6 of them like your regular cuddling them, rocking them, feeding them, all that stuff. And the other 6, they came in like lab coats and all this shit, would feed them, wouldn't give them any love, and would just and the 6 died. They all died. And it wasn't due to like lack of nutrition or nourishment, anything like that. It was because, exactly what you're saying. They need that love and connection and that humanness.
I believe it, man. Kids need to be around other kids. Kids need to play. Like, people need interaction. Kids need interaction. We need to touch. We need to feel.
Too bad.
That's a requirement for life. Like, we need that, and we're stopping that. And another thing that I want to get into with the coronavirus real quick before we, I guess it doesn't have to be real quick, but before we go on to other shit is, they also cut the fucking churches out, man. Like, how can you, this is the first time ever, and nobody talks about this either. Not even like the churches are really like speaking up and saying anything about it. But this is the first time in history, as far as I know, where they have shut down churches. Like, that's part of your fucking constitutional rights to be able to worship and go to church. Like, that's, if you do believe in God, some people don't, but if you do believe in God and you do believe in the Bible, that's what we're fucking here for. We're here to worship and be in our fellowship of Christ. We're here to speak God's name, to live a life for God. And this government is coming in because of this coronavirus and saying, you can no longer meet, you can no longer congregate, you can no longer go to church. I don't know if churches are back open now or not. I would assume some are, probably not to full capacity. But that's just insane to me that they can come in and say that, hey, you can't go to church. Like, what happened to freedom? What happened to your own choice? What happened to, like, hey, if I want to go praise my God with my people and I put myself at risk, and that's my own fault.
Dude, check this out. So in the United States, this is St. Paul's vxcommunity.com. I don't know if I got to cite it or whatever, but case study in the United States, 1944, an experiment was conducted on 40 newborn infants to determine whether individuals could thrive alone on basic physiological needs without affection. 20 newborn infants were housed in a special facility where they had caregivers who would go in to feed them, bathe them, and change their diapers, but they would do nothing else. The caregivers had been instructed not to look at or touch the babies more than what was necessary, never communicating with them. All their physical needs were attended to scrupulously, and environment was kept sterile. None of the babies were becoming ill. The experiment was halted after 4 months, by which time at least half of the babies had died at that point. At least 2 more died even after being rescued and brought into a more natural, familiar environment. There was no physiological cause for the babies' deaths. They were all physically very healthy. Blah, 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 blah. The conclusion was that nurturing is actually a very vital need in humans. Whilst this was taking place in a separate facility, the second group of 20 newborn infants were raised with all their basic physiological needs provided, and the addition of affection from the caregivers. This time, however, the outcome was as expected. No deaths encountered. Like that alone, I mean, I realize they're babies, but that just tells you right there. If our kids are coming up in schools, I said this on one of our previous podcasts, my niece is in school. They eat lunch on a lawn chair across from another lawn chair with their food tray on it, and they're 6 feet apart from all their friends. Like, that's their lunch. And then they go to class, they're social distance from everyone, like you said, or they're just online stuck at home. It's like they need some interaction. That's what childhood is.
And what about these fucking kids? Nobody talks about this either. What about these kids that have a shitty home life? That their fucking parents beat the fuck out of them all day or verbally abuse them all fucking day. And the only goddamn escape that they have in life is fucking school. What about those kids? What about the kids that don't have enough food at home? And the only time they get to eat is to go to school and eat lunch. And then we're shutting down school for something that has has killed basically under 10,000 people.
And no, like maybe one kid in New Jersey.
But yeah, we're going to shut down all the schools and fuck up all of our country and our economy over this. And it's amazing to me. Like, I just don't, people are going to look at us and probably laugh, the people that don't agree with us and agree with this. But to me, in my mind, it's like, I'm sympathetic, man. I get where we started. I understand that. I'm not saying that we had any fault for the way that we started, but for where we're at now, why the fuck is it still like this? And why isn't everybody asking why the fuck is it still like this?
Where do you draw the line at? At first, it's shut down for 2 weeks. Then it's wear a mask when you can't be 6 feet apart from people. Then it's all the restaurants, movie theaters, live entertainment, everything shut down. Okay, if we're all confined to our houses next, you can't leave your house. Groceries are delivered to you. Jeff Bezos is going to send everything over. Is that like you're still going to be okay with it? Okay, then what? Like, where do you draw the line?
Mandatory vaccines? Like, the thing that scares me is call me a conspiracy theorist all you want, but I personally anymore, I think that vaccines are all bullshit. And I think that all these vaccines are owned by the people that create the fucking illnesses and the viruses in the first place. Like, how are we able to have a copyright on a fucking virus? Because look it up. There's fucking copyrights on viruses, and there's copyrights by corporations on the cure, on the vaccine. You know what I mean? So how are we going to have, what are they going to do? They're going to come up with the vaccine and then they're going to mandate everybody to have it. Cause this is what I've heard a lot of people say is that, hey, they're going to come out and say that you have to take this vaccine. And then
they're doing that in Australia, right?
Well, so I looked that up. So, and then what? Like, so say they do say that we have to take this vaccine. Then what if I say, no, I'm not going to take the vaccine? Then I have to quarantine in my house myself. Then I can't go out in society. Then I have no rights and I can't work. I mean, is that what's going to happen? I don't fucking know. Australia, which is a no gun state, or I'm sorry, country. They've come out and said, the prime minister came out and said last week or a few days ago or something to that effect, had made a comment about how they plan to have a vaccine early spring and how he was basically going to make it mandatory. And then all these people like freaked out and there was a bunch of uproar and all kinds of shit. So then he came back just yesterday, I'm pretty sure, on this article I read this morning, or a couple of days ago, and said, "Oh no, it's not going to be mandatory. It's just going to be highly recommended." You know, but it's
masks were a month ago.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? And so it's like when we give up a little and we keep giving up a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more and a little more, eventually we're not going to have our fucking rights and our freedom, and the world is never going to be back to where it was. Like, divide and conquer, man. This goes back to old ages, like forever. It's been divide and conquer. If you want to beat somebody, you divide and conquer. If you want to control somebody, you divide and conquer.
It's number one rule of
war. What the fuck's going on in our country right now? We're getting divided more than we've ever been divided ever in our entire lives, and it started with coronavirus. The 6 feet apart, the masks, the social distancing, the stay away from your... How many people couldn't see their loved ones? How many people's loved ones died that might not even been from coronavirus, but couldn't have a fucking funeral or go to their funeral? You know what I mean? Like, how many loved ones died in hospitals that were labeled coronavirus that weren't even really coronavirus, and they couldn't have a funeral in the beginning because they was coronavirus?
That was almost me. There was like 6 people at my grandpa's funeral because it was outside. We're all apart, but I know at the same time there was other people that weren't even allowing funerals.
I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole like crazy. I don't know what the true cause is. I don't know what the true meaning is. I don't know what's going on. But what I'm saying is that when it starts off as one thing, turns into another thing, facts come out that it's not what they thought it was, but yet our restrictions continue to stay the same, if not get greater, and nothing changes. That leads me to believe, and it should lead anybody to believe that's a conscious fucking thinker, that something else is going on here. I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a crazy conspiracy theorist. I'm still out there living my life. It's not like I'm just sitting here thinking about this shit every day. But something's got to fucking be going on.
Hard not to, though, man. Everywhere you go, people are wearing masks. I was talking to Amy last week, and I was like, man, how crazy is 2020 compared to 2019? Like, what's 2021 going to look like? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, look
You
around.
think it's just going to go back to
wearing
normal?
a fucking mask.
Yeah.
Everything's closed, and no one's next to each other. What do you mean?
I said this shit to my office manager, like right when this Corona stuff was happening. And I was like, man, can you imagine if this happened, which like, next year or whatever. And she's like, oh, that would never happen. I was like, really? If I were to tell you this time last year that, because I travel a lot, you know what I mean? I go to Mexico like probably 4 to 5 times a year. I go, Jamaica once a year. I love to travel. I love to get away. I love to go out of the country. And this year was going to be my year to take the summer and travel the world with my son and go out of the country a bunch. And obviously we couldn't do it. But I was sitting there talking to her and I said something that was like, she couldn't ever believe that would happen. She's like, no, that'll never happen. And I was like, really? So if at this time last year, if I were to tell you that the borders would be shut down and I couldn't leave the country, would you believe that? And she's like, well, no, I wouldn't think that would ever happen. And I was like, and where are we at now? She's like, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the borders are shut down. So all that I'm saying to people is fucking wake the fuck up and at least think for yourself. That's really all that I'm saying. Whatever you want to believe is whatever you come up with, that's fine. Like I said, I don't know that we'll ever truly know the real answers to everything. I don't know. I don't know the true answers to everything, but at least I'm thinking about it. And that's what people need to do. They need to wake the fuck up and think and say, does this make sense? Why are we doing this? Why are we living this way? I'm not just going to be a fucking sheep and do what people tell me to do. That's just not who I'm going to be. I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it. If that means I got to move to fucking Costa Rica and live off the land, or Alaska, which I've actually thought about, and live off the land, then that's what I'll fucking do.
Yeah, man. I know I've said it a couple times already, but you have to just say at what point is this unacceptable? Or am I just going to keep laying down and doing exactly what the government's telling me to do?
And when are they going to stop? Like, when's this shit going to stop? It's going to stop when we stop allowing it. That's when it's going to stop. When's it going to stop? When are the masks going to stop? It's going to stop when we all stop wearing masks. It's going to stop when we all say, hey, you can't shut down my business. We're all going to work no matter what. That's when it's going to stop, because they can't fucking stop all of us. They're outnumbered. And when the majority comes together and says something, they listen. Like, they work for us. People try to think, people have it mixed up and think that we work, that we work for the government. No, we control the government. We outnumber the government.
I don't know what else to say, man. It's just nuts, though.
It is.
Thanks for tuning in to the Dads Who Live podcast. This has been America on Fire Part 1. Tune in next week where we finish the conversation in Part 2.
I ain't bigger dead than alive. I ain't bigger dead than alive.